the more technology we put in, the more fun we have. Good morning, YouTube. It is good to have you guys hopefully with us again this week. I am Les Farley, and my wife Grace and I are the founding and senior pastors of this place. And what we're going to be doing today is not a whole lot different, but there's obviously some things that I've got with me. Some friends came along with me, but all the scripture references and many of the notes that we're going to talk about are going to be on the screen behind me. Those of you online get to check in on the Bible app, and you can find these notes by searching today's date, or if you're here, by location. But honestly, the quickest way to do it is to get to Irresistible's Facebook page. A link went active at 9 o'clock this morning that will take you directly to everything that we're going to be talking about. So we'll find out whether or not that works, and that link will stay active for the next 22 and a half hours, give or take. All right, this past August and September, I don't know if you remember or not, I certainly remember, we did a series that I called Healing Is, and we worked our way through a lot of supernatural healing, why it's valid for today and why we should expect it today. And we ended up with a message that was walking in wholeness, and basically just telling you that, it's supernatural is a wonderful thing, and don't get me wrong, I love it when God does that kind of thing, but there's an aspect of growing up in Christ that we don't let things get to be emergencies, and we begin to walk in a wholeness with God that allows us to, I guess, experience that more than a full life that Jesus talked about. But along with that, the last several months, I've been, ever since the last couple of doctor's appointments I had where she kept referring to me as a man my age, I began to look at, okay, genetically, my family lives, for the most part, a pretty long life. But you look at today and you think, okay, I've got this and I've got that, and I think I told you that I specifically asked my doctor the last time I saw her, what do I do to get off of these medications? What has to improve in order for you to be able to take those away from me? So I've only got 5, but what do I have to do? And she sat there for the longest time, it seemed like, but she finally looked at me and she said, you'll never get off of them. They are yours for a lifetime. So I began to look at some of the things and began to do some research and find out that, there are some things that are going on in the life and welfare of our family that, or not just our family, but this family, that we need to, I think, be aware of. See, God, when He created us, He didn't create us to be a certain age and then go to the doctor and get pills. And I don't know if most of you weren't around at that time when He did that, but He didn't make a pharmacist. Everything that we ate gave health to us. Everything that we ate and drank. So my question to the doctor just went completely gone, like, I don't know. And it's not her fault, but what I want to do is just put an addendum to that series and look at the reasons why maybe we're not living the kind of life that we were created to live, and recognize that, and here's the thing, the research that I did on this over the last couple of months, the life expectancy of us in the United States is the wrong way. Now, there's got to be a reason for that. We've got the best medicines. We've got the best doctors. We've got the best hospitals. So what's going on? What's happening? That's what I wanted to talk about, and that's why I call this Living in Wellness. We're going to look at what did God put in play for us to be able to live a healthy life. And I don't know about you, and I'll talk about me, not quite doing it. There are way too many things at this age that multiplying on, and how long it's been going on. It's not the situation I want. Help understand well enough to teach this. Help us to understand. Help us to get and do our research in Jesus' name. Because here's the deal: you're responsible for. The problem we've gotten into over the iteration or a little bit is we expect the government to do it for us. The government's taking care of all this. The government is monitoring all this stuff. They would not allow me to have anything that would be bad. Genesis 1:29. God started this whole shooting match out. What he said, look, I've given you, he's talking to the man, talking to the created race of man, and he says, I've given you every seed plant throughout the earth and all the fruit trees for your food. Now, we've gone past that a little bit, right? But the original design was for us to live on those fruit trees that he had planted in the Garden of Eden. And they would absolutely everything that we needed as a human to not only live, but in that instance, at that point, live eternally. We've fallen from that. Verse 31, God looked over everything that he made. Now remember, he just made the trees, just made the man, made everything all over. And so at that point then, something happened that made it all not very good. God's original design got hijacked. And listen, you're all okay with the fact that I can blame Satan for us not living forever? I mean, it can't be our fault, right? We weren't there. So Satan came in. Satan caused man to sin. And because of that sin, we didn't get to live forever. I know. We got kicked out of the garden where the tree of life was. If they had eaten the tree of life instead of the tree of knowledge, thing was so disobedient during those early decades and years and living forever. He said, only mortal flesh, and in the future, their normal lifespan will be no more than 120 years. Now, you've heard me claim that. That's my lifespan. 60, I was middle-aged. I'm still in the 60s. I'm coming out of middle age a little bit. But normal lifespan will be no more than 120 years. And my question is this, why aren't we seeing that? Just as the odd man out, why aren't we seeing that as a normal thing? Why aren't we amazed when people in their 90s die? And I've been to several funerals, done a bunch of funerals in my ministry career, and people say, well, they lived a long, good life. Did they? Seriously? They were in a hospital the last 10 years of their life. And I don't know about you, and I'm not against doctors and hospitals, but I like those places. There's sick people there. The expectations that we got are a whole lot different today. And here's the statistics that I came up with. Studies in 1980 showed that as a nation, we were living an average of 80 to 85 years. Now, you know, men live a little bit than women do because men do things that women would never do, like, you know, jump out of trees and things like that, play with snowblowers, all the things that we go into of being a man. Women would live a little bit longer as a normal rule. But if I'm looking at 80 to 85 years, I'm thinking that's rather disappointing. Because God said 120. So why did 80 or 85 years become such a wonderful thing? Here's the really disappointing statistic. Today, the 2023 census reports that the life expectancy in the United States today is just 44 years after that last study. 44 years later, our life expectancy today in the United States is 70 to 73. Think of that. We lost a bunch in 44 years. And in my head, I'm trying to think, okay, so what happened? I mean, guys did not inherently get so stupid that they did something and died earlier. Well, maybe some did. Some did. But why? What's going on? Now, here's a piece, a little caveat I'll give you. That hasn't happened around the world. Here. Richest country in the world. The place everybody wants to get to. And we're dying faster than anywhere else in the world. Sicknesses and disease. My gosh. Some of the names of sicknesses and diseases. People are getting it's a plague, is what it is. A lot of this is going on. And if you look back at Genesis, it's not God. What happened after Satan came in. So he's to blame, and it's easy. What we're seeing right now as it wasn't even plan B for God. God said 120 years, not 70. That's just barely half of what he said. Why did that become expected and acceptable? Why is that normal today? There are a lot of people that you can follow on social media. There are a lot of different things that you can get, some good, some bad, some completely whacked out. But there's a lot of truth being told right now, and it's being buried by news and social media, doctors, and I'm not picking on doctors, I love doctors, but they're burying information because they don't know how to deal with it. They've never been taught how to deal with it. Robert Kennedy Jr., I don't know if you've followed him or seen anything. Now, this man is my age, and he's got arms bigger than my, and he do like 50 push-ups and 50 pull-ups, and just, nothing seems to faze him. Yeah, he's got a gruff voice, but who cares? The man's built. He doesn't fill out shirts like I do. And here's what he said. When you realize that the two most profitable businesses are war and illness, it's easy to understand what's going on. Two most profitable businesses, war and illness. I'm not going to talk about war, but I'm going to talk about illness because I don't think it's right. I don't think, and let me say this. I told you I'm not anti-doctor. I'm not anti-doctor. Doctors have a great place in the whole scheme of things, have from the very beginning, the healers and the different people that were used. But, and the doctors I'm associated with, very dedicated people. And, even though I confuse them sometimes, they're very good at what they do. The problem isn't them. The problem is what they are being taught in medical school. They're being taught how to cover up symptoms and not get to the root of what caused the symptom and take care of it. Now, we're stubborn, and they'll tell you that you've got this because you're overweight, you need to lose 50 pounds. What else, doc? What else? Is there something you can give me? Well, no, just get up and move and eat right and exercise and you'll lose the weight. But how about something quick? I've got vacation in 3 weeks. Can I drop 70 pounds? And I don't even blame the medical schools. We've got some of the people coming here from all over the world to go to medical school. But here's the statistic, and you guys, you can check me, you can be a fact checker all you want to be, but I've played with this for months now. Almost 100% of U.S. medical colleges are funded by Big Pharma. Was that good or bad? Well, I don't know. If the most money out of selling drugs is teaching you how to respond, seems like a conflict of interest. And it's easy to verify. Just get on some of the big medical schools and see who their big funders are. And you'll find it. Now, Big Pharma has one goal. Lumping them all in. I'm not going to name them. But Big Pharma, it's not making money. Money, money, money. So, and people, I've had a couple of people argue, they got Haiti with me. Why would you even say that? Well, let me ask you something. If a medical school taught an aspiring doctor what caused your symptom and reverse that symptom, whether they have to use medication or not, but reverse that symptom so you don't need to be on that medication the rest of your life, what's their incentive? Why would they shoot themselves in the foot and not make any money over the course of your lifetime? That's 70 or 73 years. Pharmaceutical companies don't necessarily want people to get well. They want lifetime clients, or as long as your lifetime can be. And I know that's mean, and I'm watching some of your faces. Income will disappear if you get well. I mean, let's face it, how many of you I am. I could hold up. Can you imagine just sitting in this room, what kind of money we represent in our lifetime to a pharmaceutical company? You never thought about that, did you? Maybe. Anybody remember Proverbs 23:7? King James says, "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he." Designed us. You can think yourself well. We can't patent that. God designed us to think ourselves well. Now, here's the thing. If you do enough research, you dig deep enough, and I told you, I've been at this for months. If you dig deep enough, you find out that medical journals in this country used to link happiness and a good sense of humor, quick recovery from all illnesses. And Proverbs 22 says, "A happy heart is good medicine, and a cheerful mind works healing." Now, can you see a pharmaceutical company trying to put a patent on that? How are we going to make you happy? Well, I guess they can. They have drugs that make you happy, or make you think you're happy. Money on us lining up with God's word. So what do we do? We went from, it's only been two years now that we've been streaming live TV. We were away from live TV for over 10 years, 12 years. And when we would go on vacation, usually the condo or the hotel or somewhere would have, of course, the TV with cable TV. They said, how many commercials are in a 1-hour show? That minutes because of all the commercials. And every commercial was dealing with fear. It was always, way back, was always the dreaded first sneeze of cold season. You know you're coming down with it. The dreaded first sneeze just happened. And then you got to get their medicine so you don't catch that cold. Guess what? Colds are caused by viruses. You can't fight them. You can do things like go home and rest like we all did. Before COVID, remember, we took a cold, boss can't come fluid. And the boss said, sure, come back when you can. You had a different boss than I had. There are these commercials we're seeing. It's amazing. Out of like 5 commercials that will run, like yesterday's football game, we're watching it, and whenever there was the commercial timeout, referee on the field to tell them when they can start playing again after the commercials run. Do you remember the day commercials used to get cut so that you could get back to the game? We went to a couple of live games, and it is amazing. I mean, these guys just stand right over top of the ball. And big old linemen like, don't you even touch it. Commercial's not done. How commercialized everything's become. 4 out of 5 of those commercials were medical and pharmaceutical commercials telling us that you might have this. Check with your doctor. It's the greatest gaslight I've ever heard in my whole life. I got an ache and a pain right here, but I watched that commercial and they said, you put me on this and my restless leg keep me up all night. We're asking them to put us on it. They don't have to sell it. We're selling it to them. And here's the other side. And this is where people start really getting mad at me. My doctor got really quiet. I asked her, how much do you make every year off of the incentives that the pharmaceuticals give you? They get incentives for prescribing medications. And again, it's just the way it is. I blame the pharmaceuticals because they're the ones that threw this whole thing out there and started getting everything so completely out of whack. And I know we may not ever be back on YouTube again, but oh well. Anybody's brain hurting yet? 'Cause I got more. You waking up yet? All right. Remember when remember God in John 10:10, the thief's purpose is to steal, kill, and destroy? You're old to me then, because I wasn't there. I just read about it. So, I wonder who runs Big Pharma. I wonder who's doing this to us. Now, it's easy to say, well, the executives, because they're getting all the money, right? Or they're getting a lot of it. But what if that's just the tip of the iceberg that we need to be aware of, that we need to know? And you're probably thinking, this is the weirdest church service I've ever been in. I promised you I would teach you the truth as I knew it, and what I'm finding is depressing. Our fight is actually against an enemy. What if we're aware of but not aware of? What if Satan is the easy way out? Now, yes, he's in charge of the world system. It all goes back to him. He gets blamed for it. It's like being a dad. It's your fault. Period. No matter what happened, you're the dad. It's your fault. Satan is the one who caused all this with. But was he? Man didn't have to say yes. Genesis 3:1. The New Living Translation with the Interlinear Bible. I had to do this by hand because there ain't no translation like that. New Living Translation with in Genesis 3:1 says, the serpent, meaning Satan, was the most cunning, sly, wily, crafty, sneaky, scheming of all of the living things of creation that the Lord had made. Out of everything that the Lord had made, all of a sudden, here's this cunning, sly, and wily, crafty, calculating, sneaky. Didn't say snake, said serpent. Now listen, God made everything good, right? Remember that? We started with that. God looked everything over and said, this is all good. But at some point, it became not so good. So that means Satan is bad. God good, snake bad. Pretty easy, pretty simple. If Satan's bad, everything that's under Satan's influence, control, or direction is also bad. And that includes the world system. It includes the system of finance that we live under. So what could Satan influence? What could he control or direct? Right under our noses, hidden in plain sight, something that masquerades as being good and healthy, but it's actually us. What could he be working with? How could he do that? Well, how about this? Throw that slide post. You remember back in the that this is part of a good breakfast. I'm going to pick on one of my favorite ones because one of my granddaughters had this for breakfast last week. We took them to Cracker Barrel. And out of all of the good stuff that Cracker Barrel gives you that's not good for you, they picked Fruity Pebbles. Fruity Pebbles. Ingredient Fruity Pebbles. Should be on next. Yeah, ingredients, rice. Now, here's the thing. Here's what I want you to understand. When it says rice, it doesn't say organic rice. It says rice. This could be rice from Vietnam, from China, from India, from Louisiana. It's just rice. We don't know how it's raised. We don't know how it's processed. Right now, the problem we have with the farm industry in the United States is we've killed our ground. There are no microbes in it. You have an organic farm. You know, an organic farmer has got to register organic for, 12 years or something like that before they're allowed to be called an organic farm. So that's how long those chemicals stay in the ground, and probably longer than that if you really want to be true about it. But this rice, And the dreaded, oh, there's a fly in it too, look. I thought it was black rice. Oh, there's sugar. Well, what could possibly go wrong with that? Second ingredient after your cereal is sugar. We don't know if it's bleached. We don't know if it's blanched. We don't have any sugar. Sugar, water, hydrogenated vegetable oil. Now look what's in hydrogenated. The minute you see hydrogenated, throw the box across the store. Because what they did was inject hydrogen into the oil to emulsify it and make it be absorbed. And it's made up of coconut and palm kernel oils. Second only to high fructose corn in sugar content. So not only does it sugar, but now it's sugarized vegetable oil. It's got salt, and it contains. Now, here's where people will say, well, this is why it's healthy, because it's less than 0.5%. Less than 0.5% of artificial flavors. That we don't know. Crude oil's natural. I'll tell you later. All right. Red number 40. Linked to cancer and autism all across the world, not sold anywhere else but the United States. Yellow number 6. Turmeric, whatever that is, it's a color, it's another yellow color that goes with it. Blue number 1, yellow number 5, blue number 2, number 1 wasn't enough, you go to number 2, and just to help protect the flavor of the natural stuff, we got stuff to protect it. I don't know what it is. BHA. Now, vitamins and minerals. Notice that there's nothing in there. See, sodium ascorbate, vitamin C. It doesn't say that it has vitamin C. It has the source of vitamin C. It's a chemical. It's not even a vitamin C. It's a chemical makeup of it. The same all the way down through, all the way in there. But it's gluten-free, so you won't get fat. Actually, you will. Gluten-free diets make everybody fat. Partially produced with genetic engineering. How would you like to have a bowl of Fruity Pebbles? I don't have it in my bag. Every could have been Kellogg's, could have been any of them. And every one of those cereals and every one of those products that were on that slide have this kind of a thing. You get anything to eat, and here's my kick, and I'll get it again before we're all done. And it's got a paragraph of what's in it. Don't eat it. You know what's in the ingredient list of venison? Venison. Just saying. I just thought I'd throw that out there. So, I could pick on Post again, but here's the thing. Post Foods is owned by Big Pharma. Every food-producing conglomeration in the United States today is owned by Big Pharma. Now, why would Big Pharma put that in children's food? Because they need a lifetime supply of patience. Now, there's a book, and I'm going to bring it, and I apologize I didn't do it, but there's a book. Am I getting too far? She's over here giving me the Baptist hungry prayer. Anytime she pinches her nose and ducks her head, I'm like, okay, too far. Listen, there's a book called Good Energy. Dr. Casey Means, her brother Callie Means, they were on an interview with Tucker. Love him, like him, hate him, whatever you want to do, but look that up on YouTube, 2.5 hours long. Listen to what they know. She is one of 9 ENT surgeons in the United States that specialized in what she did, and she walked away from it because she found this stuff out. Her brother worked for Big Pharma as a lobbyist in Washington, D.C., and his job was to get the USDA and the FDA to approve all of this stuff as okay, as good for consumption. and paid millions upon millions of dollars that all went to your congressmen and senators. How do you think they can serve for 8 years and $200,000 net worth to network worth? It ain't because they work their butts off. I've seen them people walking down the street. They got big butts. I'm sorry. Now, let me have some fun, because this is not just food. Everything you put on your body, these kind of chemicals, the body absorbs it. Personal care, household cleaning, farming supplies. I said that we killed all the land. You know, farms today use chemical fertilizers because there's nothing left in the ground to grow a seed when it goes in. They killed it with all of the insecticides and whatever sides they've got. But here, let's do something. I'm going to show you some examples. I'm not going to give you a bunch, but I got quite a few. And because they are so forthcoming in telling you what's in them, I'm going to have to use reading glasses because it's so very small. It's on there. Legally, they did what they're supposed to do. They put it on there, but you can't read it unless you've got a magnifying glass. What shall we look at for this anything? All right. The soil for 2 generations. Now, been paying from back when I was a kid, the government's been paying farmers not to grow anything so that the prices will stay high. And then what they are growing is being shipped off to factories overseas to create the food. And let me say, I mentioned them, and I'm going to mention them again because I just need to. The USDA, the FDA are nothing but glorified application takers. They have a few people that are in the field, but those people that are in the field are told the product's moving. They're not told to look and see how things are done. So what we need to do is take control of what we put in us. And I've slacked off on that the last several years. I used to be really good at it. And I'm getting back to it now. None of this is a surprise to me because I knew it years and years ago. So the biggest lobbyists in D.C. are Big Pharma. Let me, you all know I like coffee. Yeah? You don't? I like coffee. I'm not supposed to. This is one thing that we got hooked on, and I mean hooked. I mean, we had to have our caramel syrup in our coffee. Now, some people say, well, I just use those non-dairy creamers. I should have bought one of those and read you the ingredients. It is two chemical combinations from plastic. But this is good stuff. This is just sugar. This won't kill you. This will just make you fat. Ingredients. I don't have any of this for the screen. So, ingredients, pure cane sugar. But at least it's pure. Water. Here's the dreaded natural flavors. Citric acid. Why do I want acid in my coffee? Potassium sorbate to preserve freshness. Like this is going to last long enough to go bad. Sodium benzoate to preserve freshness. Wait a minute. 2 fresheners? And here's the kicker. Classic caramel syrup. It is sugar, and the very last ingredient is caramel. Not caramel. No caramel in the caramel syrup. Tell you how many of these I've drank. I might as well have just chugged them. All right, what shall we do? What shall we do? Oh, here we go. How many? Oh, look, Red Bull. Now I buy this because I don't do this. I've read enough and heard enough about this. I want you to see something. Not recommended for pregnant or nursing women and people sensitive to caffeine. Well, what's the use of drinking caffeine if you're not sensitive to it? Now, ingredients: carbonated water, sugar, glucose, which is sugar, citric acid again, taurine, which is caffeine, natural and artificial flavors, again, we don't know what they are. Could be petroleum from La Brea tar pit. Sodium bicarbonate, just in case you get gas. Magnesium carbonate. Magnesium carbonates. Phillips of milk of magnesium. Brown, and I can already tell the people are mad at me for using Red Bull, but it's okay. Baking soda, magnesium carbonate, and caffeine's in here again. And there's colors. Doesn't say what kind of colors, just colors. And I can't read all of these chemical things, but they say vitamins. This thing has 110 calories, and if you read the things up here, total sugar, 12 grams. What shall we do next? Oh, look, protein, John. Look, Core Power Protein. Life protein. It must be good because the cow's happy. It's got guaranteed great taste. Let's see why. Filtered low-fat grade A milk. Alkalized cocoa powder. Contains less than 1% of, natural flavors. Monk fruit, which is sugar. Stevia leaf, which is sugar. Here's one that you're going to find interesting. Well, maybe you won't. I don't know. Carrageenan, Carrageenan. First time I found this, I was at the store getting heavy whipping cream for my coffee. I looked at the back when I started going through this, and I bought Kroger because it was right across the street. I could get it quick at home. And heavy whipping cream comes from, anybody? Milk. Milk. It floats to the top. The cream rises to the top, where you get all these crazy sayings. Farmers made them up. The second ingredient in heavy whipping cream from Kroger is carrageenan. So I got my phone out while I was standing there and I plugged the thing in. Carrageenan is only sold in the United States for consumption. It's a frother. It makes things frothy. Now, and I'm looking at it like, on the farm, we took the cream and you put blender and stuff in it, and it would froth on its own. But there's a frother in my cream. And it says in Wikipedia, the long-term effects of ingesting carrageenan have not been studied. But there's no other country on the earth that will let you put that in any food. Except the United States. So, I'm not even going to let anybody drink this. What do we got? Oh, here. Okay. Yeah, I don't use this very often. This was funny when I read it. Barbasol. Those of you with and without hair, and those of you with and probably use this somewhere. Some of you on your legs, maybe. I'm not going to talk to those guys. Ingredients: water, stearic acid. This is for sensitive skin, so the second ingredient is acid. Butane, which is acid and lighter fluid. I can't pronounce this next one. It's a triamethylindidine, Laura something, allobarbonadiasis, Well, it says aloe, but right after that, but they had to put it in parentheses. So it's got thyme in it. Thyme extract. It has, here's my best one, it has fruit extract. Just in case you eat it while you're shaving. It has willow bark, which is actually good for you. It does have sodium sulfate, which is another frother. It is a chemical that suds. It does have fragrance in it. The thing that it has in it is propane. It's not even trying to hide it behind a fancy butane for your lighter, and you got propane for your heater, all on your face. Why do you think they tell you not to save? Here, let's try this one. This one's safe, right? Mitchum. I used this for years. Number one active ingredient is aluminum sasquatch hydrocarbon. Aluminum has been shown to produce Alzheimer's. Number one thing, though, because we do not want our underarms to be wet like they were designed to be, right? There's other stuff in here. Their inactive stuff is water, dimethicone, glycerin, which is alcohol, dimethicone, and some kind of, that's French, parfum, fragrance. I know, I'm going. Let me pick on kids. It's made with enriched flour. Flour is? Flour that they strip everything and then spray stuff on. Wheat flour. Oh, there went your gluten-free. Have some niacin. It's good for us, yes? Unless it's chemical. B1. I got to turn this around because it's all. No. It's made with vegetable oil, which is out of high oleic soybean, palm, and canola oil, with TBHQ freshness. You know, if they got to keep putting freshness stuff in it, that it's probably exist after nuclear war. We don't have any. I said, should I go to the kitchen and get the tween out? All right. So cheese is made with skim milk, whey protein, and cheese culture. So evidently these do have some cheese in them. And enzymes, and it has less than 2% of salt, paprika extract color, and soy lecithin bodybuilders. Number one killer of testosterone in the world. Anything of any variety of soy for a man will cause him to hit in his 40s and never get to recover from it because it genetically modifies the boys. All right. I won't go into some stuff, but I got other things. I got protein bars. This one's touted as very, very good Quest for people who are diabetic. It's Quest. Milk protein isolate. It has allulose sugar. It has soluble corn fiber, palm kernel, erythritol, sodium caseinate, butter. How hard do you have to squeeze a thing of butter to get flavor out of it? But it also has natural flavors, has sea salt, cinnamon, palm oil again, carrageenan. Your protein bar has ether. malic acid, vegetable juice color, sucralose, which is just as bad as else, and they have to put it that it contains milk and soy. Again. All right, go into that. Here's something. Let me show you the good side of it. We found these. Grace always has it. She likes to have chips. Now, these are not exactly perfect, but they're apple chips. And the ingredients are really tough to put up with. Apples and cinnamon. Now, the bad part of it is they don't tell you what kind of apples. You don't know if they're organic. You don't know if they're farmed. You don't know where the cinnamon came from, but this is a whole lot better than the back row's favorite. You know, hey, I carry Doritos in my hunting bag, not to eat. They're the greatest fire starter in the whole world. They have so much oil that you can crunch the thing up inside it, put it on of a pile of wood, light it with your Pharaoh stick, and it will burn. The hot Cheetos things? Oh, they don't even have to be hot. They're hot when I get done with them. But all right. I could go on. There's a whole lot more. But listen, hopefully it's obvious right now I'm not friends with pharma. I don't like how they've done things. I don't like what it's doing to this country. I don't like what it's done to me. And I slipped into it unaware. It's easy. It's easy to just ignore this stuff and think that we'll be okay and wonder why we have all these conditions. We're getting into a whole lot more natural stuff. It does cut down on the grocery bill. The grocery bill goes up a little bit, but you're not buying all of the processed junk. I had a guy down in Texas tell me the one thing that you can do as a man is to eat 2 or 3 times a day, stay away from processed food, get outside an hour a day, let the sun just in your eyes. And that lady in the book said the same thing. It's called good energy. She said 1 hour a day in the sunlight will cure almost every case of depression in the United States. And the one thing this guy down in Texas, it's obvious you're not, because he said also go barefoot 1 hour a day outside. I don't work in January in Ohio. But calling is to make sure you guys understand, and you've been told, read. Just read the ingredients. If you don't know what it is, don't eat it. Don't put it in your body. Simple as that. It changes a lot of stuff. You know, it's funny because ever since those surgeries that I have had dry skin on my face and my hair, my scalp, and in 2 months of taking away all this processed stuff and everything's healing. All of that dryness is going away because my body's not getting sabotaged with all the chemicals. And no. Moisturizer. With sun, because we all know sun bad. But didn't God look at everything on the 6th day and say this is all good and he made it? How much has our incidence of skin cancer increased ever since we've been being sold sunscreen? Remember in the 50s and 70s, a little copper-toned girl? Everybody, you were healthy if you were out in the sun and had a little bit of a tan. I'm not talking about Jimmy Buffett baked on the beach type of thing. I'm talking out in the sun. Get some sun. You were made for that. We weren't sitting in offices all day, every day. Go to work in the dark, home in the dark, inside all day long. That's for you. But this is even worse. It says it was developed by dermatologists for healthy skin. My dermatologist, I was talked into going to a dermatologist about 3 or 4 years ago because I'm almost 70 and I haven't been to a dermatologist. He came in the room, he looked at me and he said, stopped, and he said, "Oh my gosh." And I thought, why? He said, no. He said, I wouldn't guess you to be that age. He said, you look really good. And then he hit my whole face with nitrogen. And I look like a snake peeling. I said, why did you do that? And he said, just in case. Anyhow, active ingredient, I cannot pronounce it, octinoxate, octinoxylate, octobenzene, benzoine. Those are just sunscreens. What are they? Cast-offs of the petroleum industry when they make gasoline. We're putting poison on our body so the sun won't kill us. And I got news for you. We all going to die anyway. It's just when. When do we die? There are inactive ingredients like alkaline benzoate and carbormer, alcohol, a bunch of other stuff that I can't pronounce. All right. So, said all that to say this. Got to get you out of here. Got a birthday party to go to. You're all invited. Maybe, kind of, sort of. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Matthew 10:16. You probably better get me out of here. She promised me she's going to have a really funny closing, so. No? Who was I talking to? Wasn't you? Since we're fighting a snake, let me tell you what Jesus said about it. Matthew 10:16, be as shrewd as snakes and harmless as doves. Smarter than the snake that's trying to. And to do that, all you got to do is read. You're going to have to choose what you put on you. It's a simple process. I don't even let Pastor Grace or me wear any clothes when we buy them. I run them through the laundry. Because you don't know what chemicals. What?
I'm glad you finished that line.